It's 2 a.m. That means it's time to work on the Cherokee. Literally, this morning or night, depending on what you call it, we will be inspecting and replacing the motor mounts. Your motor mounts are very easy to get to, even though they're usually covered in a bunch of stuff. Alright, down here, here's the passenger side motor mount. That'd be passenger side in the US, the right side. From the top, it looks pretty good. And the reason we're doing this inspection and replacement is because under hard acceleration, it's kind of hard to see down there, but the fan clutch and fan are actually contacting the radiator because the entire engine under torque is shifting forward. Now, down in there is the other, let me get the light down there. It's hard to tell from up here. I mean, the motor mount looks okay on this side, however, underneath is a different story. You can actually see that the top of the motor mount where the bolt goes through has separated from the rest of the block, causing the engine to shift forward. So we're definitely going to have to take out the left side and replace it, and because we're replacing their motor mounts, we should replace them in a pair and do both at the same time. This is a relatively easy process, and you do need a floor jack to do this, so let's get started. Alright, proper jacking of the engine to support this. There are two methodologies. You can either jack against the oil pan or on the bell housing. I have chosen the oil pan in this case because on the bell housing is the transmission cooler lines, which I do not want to pinch with the jack. And when you're jacking, you should always use a piece of wood under here to basically distribute the load. And also the metal on this cup here would also damage the oil pan. Now, one note about the oil pan, the factory oil pan is of sufficient gauge to support the engine weight temporarily while working. If you have an aftermarket pan, they're usually made of thinner metal. So if you can jack off the bell housing, it is a better idea to jack off the bell housing because that thinner metal may not support the engine for very long. I now have the top retaining bolt out and the bottom retaining nut out. They are both 15 millimeters. The nut has its own built-in washer. Just a quick note, when you are replacing your motor mounts, you should only do one side at a time, as in take one out, put the new one back in, bolt it back up, then do the other side. As I said earlier, with supporting by the oil pan, it is a temporary measure to support the engine partially because the other side will still be supporting it while you're working on this. Alright, the cross shaft is out. It just uses an 18 millimeter bolt head and 18 millimeter nut. What I like to do is just put my fixed wrench on this end on the nut and put my ratchet on this end. The reason for that, as I'm ratcheting this end, the nut is forcing the cross shaft to come out. So if this is rusted in here at all or fused to the mount, it'll actually help to push it out of the mount and make it easier for getting out. And let's see, down here, I've actually gotten the mount pulled out of there, just right up through this body channel right here. And here is the bad mount. You can tell it's separated completely. And as I flip this over, you can then see where after it's separated, the engine half of the mount has started chipping away at it, making it even worse. So now we got to go ahead, shove the new one down in there in the same way this one came out. Just remember, this bolt goes towards the engine and this hole goes towards the fender. When you're installing the new mount, you may notice that the holes in the engine side of the mount are lining up with the new mount because the new mount is actually a little bit taller than the old one from being stiffer and also new. So as you're doing this, you may find that you need to jack up the engine slightly as you're working on this. If you don't have a friend, it's going to be a little harder, but I have a solution for that. So what I do is, I already have the jack in position. I'm going to put my foot here, and I'm just going to be watching over here Get some better light here. Very, very carefully. There we go. Trying to line this up, and I'm going to push down with my foot. Alright, seems to get it just about right there. Well, basically I'm just using my foot to grab the jack handle, pull it up, push it back down, and line the cross shaft up with the new mount. Alright, I have the new mount in here, and I have it bolted up. The mounting bolts itself here, those are 30 foot-pounds. The cross bolt is 60 foot-pounds. I've not actually fully tightened them yet. As you can see, there's still a gap there between the mount and the engine bracket. The reason for this is you should do both sides before fully tightening the bolts. That way that they settle into place and don't get mistorqued or torqued out of position, which could be detrimental to the mounts later on. So now we have to move on to the other side, which is just a reverse procedure of working on this side. And, well, except for the whole fact that it's covered in a lot more crap. So, we got the oil filter there, all the air conditioning lines, and the air dryer. Not as fun as the other side. So, I'll work on this. Once you have this side done, you're done. You should check for clearance between the electric fan and again with your manual fan here, just to make sure nothing is shifted, and you're ready to go. Go ahead, give it a test drive. Make sure you torque those cross bolts to 60 foot-pounds and the bolts that hold the mounts in to 30 foot-pounds, and you're ready to go. Have a great day. This is a pretty simple procedure. You can complete it in about 1 to 2 hours. I've done this before on another vehicle, so I'm pretty versed in how easy it can be to do. Have a great night.
Of the year, and was named in the ICC Test and ODI Teams of the Year, as well as picking up the Test Cricketer of the Year award and the LG People's Choice Trophy.
Personally, you only do well because you get the support of your team. So I'm very proud to be a part of the team. I think we're a very, very good side, and we get better as the years go by.
ICC Men's ODI Cricket of the Year 2012 is the batting sensation from India, Virat Kohli.
Sangakkara was joined on the winners list by India's Virat Kohli. He took the ICC ODI Cricketer of the Year, while West Indies bowler Sunil Narine claimed his first ever ICC award after being named Emerging Cricketer of the Year.
Well done. How does that feel? It's a good privilege coming out here and being able to perform and actually getting the Emerging Cricketer of the Year.
The fact that you're up here says that you've started your career really well. It's all ahead of you.
Yeah, I think it all started in India. Being able to have a good debut says a lot, and hopefully I could continue with a good success.
The 2020 International Performance of the Year was won by Richard Levy for his unbeaten 117 against New Zealand in Hamilton on February the 19th.
And the LG People's Choice Award 2012 goes to...
But the night belonged to Sangakkara.
Kumar Sangakkara.
The 34-year-old batsman and former captain has made almost 1,500 runs at an average of 60.16 in his last 14 tests, including 5 centuries and 5 50s.
All right, the simple question here is, how big an honour is this?
It's an amazing honour. I've seen the people who've won before, and I've seen the nominees, and the year these guys have had. I've just sat and watched and admired all the guys up there. Vernon Philander, I faced him twice, got out to him twice, I reckon, at Centurion. So it's great to be among them, and it's a huge honour to win it.